Hi.
Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie.
Doing a couple of the things
Oh,
here.
yeah. And I'm not on We Are God's Melody of Life. I'm only doing the prelude. I think I met the lady who's doing that.
Yes, she's gonna. It's the music is recorded, and
Right.
she's just gonna lead us. That's
Got it.
Margie.
So I know where I'm at.
And yeah, where your name is.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Stephanie. Oh, I said that already.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. I'm Mike. Same here. Breathe.
Okay.
Okay.
No. Oh, there. How's that? Hello. I'm Holly Leo, and I'm your board secretary. Welcome, everyone, in our sanctuary, and welcome to those online. Please take this moment to silence your cell phones. Today, we are happy to hear from Craig Stephen Phillips. He will speak about taking responsibility for our own happiness. Okay. Our musical guest today is Michael Murphy. Thank you for joining us. Unity of Tustin will be hosting Sunday Supper on September 29th. Susan Gilmore needs more volunteers. It's a wonderful opportunity to give your time and talent to get to know other like-minded people in our community. Please reach out to Susan and say yes to volunteering. Stephanie Aho will give us an update on the new bookstore today. Yesterday was our first community prayer exercise, and it was very successful. Yay! Spirit groups start today, and it's not too late for you to join if you haven't already signed up. We are so excited to have so many options available and so much participation already. I know personally how much spirit groups have helped me with my spiritual growth. So if you've been thinking about how you can grow spiritually, now is the time. We are so lucky to have this great opportunity here at Unity of Tustin. Go to that table outside the sanctuary after the service, or go to our website if you have any questions. Now, please stand for our congregational song.
So I hope your voices are warmed up.
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
Ready to go.
We are God's melody of life. God sings His song for me. We are God's rhythm and harmony. God sings her song for me. A song of life, of radiant life, of life so full and free. We are God's melody of life. God sings His song for me. God sings her song for me. God sings God's song for me. Thank you.
Oh, it is me. Okay.
Hi, good morning. My name is Stephanie Aho. I am one of your prayer chaplains here at Unity of Tustin, and it is always my great joy and privilege to open the service with the reading of our daily word and the lighting of the Christ candle. And the lighting of the Christ candle symbolizes the Christ within, the presence within each of us always, and connecting us all. The word for today is blessed. Today is Sunday, September 15th, 2024. The affirmation, all things work together for good in my life. I am blessed. And the scripture that inspires today's reading is actually from the Old Testament, the book of Numbers, which is also the fourth book of the Old Testament, and therefore part of the Torah, which is the guiding scriptures, of course, of the Jewish faith. The Lord bless and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. And these were actually words spoken by the Lord to Moses when they were wandering the wilderness in Sinai. And he spoke to Moses from the temple of the presence. The reading. If someone asks me how I'm feeling, I may smile and simply respond, I am blessed. I may have many bills to pay, maybe a few or more aches and pains. In any case, I remain aware that I am an expression of God. I know wherever I am, whatever I am doing, God can never be further away than my next thought. While I may not believe challenging events are blessings, I will likely feel blessed when I respond from an awareness of God's guiding, loving presence within me. Rather than reacting anxiously, I proceed calmly, with confidence, trusting divine order. Knowing I am blessed, I radiate faith that I pray helps others recognize the blessings in their own life. And the affirmation again, all things work together for good in my life. I am blessed. Together, all things work together for good in my life. I am blessed. And so it is.
As we come to pray this morning, I invite you, if you wish, to fold your hands, namaste, right at your heart. You can put your right hand over the center of your chest. Making contact with the heart, if you have a prayer position, let the back of your hands touch the middle of your chest. And begin to let your awareness flow down into this area of your body, the seat of your intuition, your devotion. And as we come to pray, get a sense that you're in your heart. Let's take a breath as if through the center of our chest, just letting the breath carry our awareness, the Holy Spirit, right into the heart this morning. It could be that this week you haven't spent much time here. Perhaps most of your time has been up in your head thinking and planning and worrying. But just with this little shift, we come down into the heart. As you continue to breathe through the chest into the heart, get a sense that you are in the heart without needing to visualize anything. You are now on your knees in devotion to the divine. Kneeling to that which is your very life. All of you may have different names for that. It doesn't matter. It's beyond all the names. It is your very life. You breathe because it breathes you. You think because it thinks you. You move because it moves you. You live because it lives you. As you kneel in the heart to that which you are, bring your prayer this morning in the language of your own heart. You know what you need. Take a few moments, petition the divine. And if there's nothing that you need to cultivate within yourself to be more at peace, just keep quiet. And let your quiet be gratitude for all that you already have, that you've been given by the Tao. Let your prayer end with thank you, thank you, thank you. Listen. So we might notice that meditation is already happening for many of you. If it's not, close your eyes. Come to rest right here, right now. Get a sense of falling backward, like you're on a high cliff, falling right back into the arms of the divine. Feel you're being caught. Always resting in the arms of God. As we come to meditation this morning, I'm going to read some words, some of my favorite words about meditation from great Buddhist teacher John Kabat-Zinn. You couldn't have a better last name than John does. Some of you know him. Bar, Massachusetts, the meditation center there. Listen. When we let go of wanting something else to happen in this moment, we are taking a profound step toward being able to encounter what is here now. If we hope to go anywhere or develop ourselves in any way, we can only step from where we are standing. If we don't really know where we are standing, a knowing that comes directly from the cultivation of mindfulness, we may only go in circles for all our efforts and expectations. So, in meditation practice, the best way to get somewhere is to let go of trying to get anywhere at all. And we're always trying so hard to get somewhere, aren't we? Today, how would it feel to just drop all that effort and be still? You can do that now. Let yourself be very, very still as the lights come down. An invitation to rest this morning. Many of you are very, very weary from your wandering in the mind. This morning you have the opportunity to let it go. And as this beautiful teaching points at, meditation is not an efforting. It's not moving from somewhere to something that you think will be better than this moment. Meditation is not a doing. It's a being who you are. So if who you are this morning is confused or upset or you've got a lot of problems, then be that. Don't move from that. Sit with it on this breath. With each breath, get a sense of accepting who you are completely. Come home to your life now. Stillness is the foundation for this meditation. So for the next few moments, I invite you, even if your body feels nervous or fidgety, don't move. Don't move. Think of that teaching from Jesus. Those that were waiting for the bridegroom, so attentive, waiting. God is arriving now. You don't want to miss it. And as you let yourself rest in that foundation of stillness this morning, just listen for a moment. Bring all of your awareness to listening. For many of you, there's already now been a shift from listening to the voice in your head, maybe even being lost in those thoughts. Small little shift to listening to the space around you. Focus directly on the sounds that you hear in the space. And notice that these sounds are arising in a space of silence. Like the plane coming overhead. Comes out of silence into awareness and then dissolves back into silence. Your thoughts do the same. They arise, appear before your awareness, and then they dissolve. They're not a problem. As we continue to listen together, feel the breath now. Take a refreshing breath. Feel it. All the way in. You notice there's a little pause or gap when you reach the peak of your in-breath, and then the breath flows out on its own. The body's not trying to hold it. Feel how good it feels to breathe this morning. And notice as you breathe, verify this for yourself. Your breath is happening right now. Notice, you can't breathe in the past. You can't breathe in the future. You're breathing now. Even with that little shift, probably for many of you, there is a deeper restfulness now. And we're going to add one little more element to our meditation. It's a little prayer or mantra that you can add to the breath, which will keep you focused in your life right here. One of the most ancient prayers or mantras. Take a breath first and get a feeling you're breathing through your forehead. Let this breath sweep your mind of any remaining debris that you carried here today. Problems, worries, anxiety. As you breathe out, like fall leaves out through the forehead, gone. And get a sense of your awareness taking up residence right in the middle of your head, kind of like you're sitting in an old ancient cave there. The Taoist masters call this space the cave of original spirit. You don't need to visualize yourself there. Feel yourself there. Lift your interior gaze from that point and get a sense that you're sitting there looking out through your forehead. Like it's the opening of the cave and you're just looking out into vast space. Space of your own being. It feels pretty good. As you gaze there and the next in-breath comes, repeat the sound of so to yourself internally. Following the sound of so on the in-breath all the way into its peak, there's a little pause, and then the out-breath goes out through the forehead on the internal sound of hum, like humming a song. Breathing in the internal sound of so. Breathing out the internal sound of hum. So hum, which is the Sanskrit words for I am that I am. Stay with this. Let yourself rest in this great mantra, this great prayer, this truth. And when you notice, which may happen, that somehow your awareness has drifted off into the mind, into your thinking, your planning, wondering if you're doing this right, at that moment, you wake up and you gently fall back into the arms of the mantra this morning. Breathing in on the sound of so. Breathing out on the internal sound of hum. Rest in the mantra. Very gently, let the mantra go now. And as it dissolves, notice perhaps there's a beautiful space in you that the mantra was inhabiting. Rest in that space and listen from that space for a moment. as we continue to feel this beautiful restfulness, bring this question to your mind, to the silence around your thoughts. Here and now, is anything lacking? Here and now, is anything lacking? Feel it. Feel the quiet here this morning. Get a feeling just for a moment that everything you've ever wanted is in this quiet right here. This is all you want. And you have it. Imagine as you go through your day that you stay in touch with this. You keep laying back in its arms as if you've come home over and over again. And a feeling that this is enough. This is meditation. Resting now with no compulsion to get beyond this moment. This is enough. Yet notice, as we sit for a few more moments, the next moment takes care of itself. It arrives. You don't have to control. You don't have to do anything but rest and notice this. It brought you here this morning. It's why you're not laying in bed right now. The mind thinks it did that. I would look again. The mind only cooperated. That brought you here. And it continues to unfold life moment by moment by moment, as I say, relentlessly, whether you like it or not. Being in harmony with this and resting in this is called meditation. The fight has gone out of you. the resistance to this great intelligence. You just move with it now, in harmony. Meditation. Perhaps as you look deeply this morning, you can see, this is what I want. This is what I've been looking for. Here it is. The thought, it'll get better in the future, is a dream. What could be better than this moment? When God has its arms open to you and is welcoming you home. Right here. And the next breath comes, refreshing and at ease. Reverend Blair has joked with me from time to time when we're having meetings, and I'll lead the little meditation and it ends up going for a while. They tend not to ask me anymore. And he's joked with me, can you imagine if you led a service that way? You came out, you had a topic and everything, people thought, oh, he's going to start speaking, and all we did was what we just did. Wouldn't that be enough? Would that be enough for you? Yes. Yes. Enough words. Enough concepts. The silence points to everything that we are looking for, doesn't it? The restfulness we're longing for in the heart. To lay our mind down in that for even a moment will transform your life. You'll never be the same. Most of you know that this morning. Oh my goodness. Tried to go to South coast Plaza this week and buy a bunch of stuff, but man, this is way better. And it's cheaper too, right? Yes. So, obviously I'm speaking, but you'd be all surprised to know that we've been meditating for about 20 minutes. We're pretty effortless, huh? There are those, that say, I have a hard time settling down. Of course you do. The mind's running all the time. When we start to sit still, it comes counter to what our tendency is, which is to follow the mind and be lost in the mind constantly. And we all know what that feels like. It's madness. Many teachers have said, if you want to know why the human race is in the predicament it's in, is because there's billions of minds doing that. But we can be the island of sanity. Whenever you sit still, you are doing more for peace on this earth than you could do by 1,000 marches in Washington. Do you feel that? You know this. This isn't just pie in the sky. This is the truth. This is why every teacher, including this one, encourages you to meditate daily. It's going to be more and more vital as we move along in our karmic path. If you think that the genie's going to go back in the bottle and it's all going to get better, no. It's going to get more challenging for you and for me and for all of us. Those that are meditating regularly will be able to flow through this with some semblance of grace and not be reacting, as I'm going to speak about in a moment. Talk about responsibility. To me, that's the greatest responsibility that we have now on our spiritual path or in our life, is to make this commitment to a daily dive within. And then bring that peace into the world. The world is sorely missing this. So many of you are coming to the spirit groups, which are beginning to start. And the spirit groups are a very, very powerful way to get together with other people in the community, do some discussing. And what they're going to be studying over the next 6 or 7 weeks is this wonderful system called the 15 Commitments to Conscious Living. You just did a big one right now, right? I don't think meditation's actually one of the 15. We'll make it 16. But last week or last month, some of you were here and I spoke about the Buddha's 8 steps to happiness. And some of you will remember that I said that the most important step that we can take on the path is mindfulness, which is what you've been doing. Present here. It makes sense, doesn't it? If we're really present here, we're not going out and we're not reacting to everything with anger or impatience or whatever the case may be. When we're mindful, we tend to come at our life from a space of choosing peace and to be present and available to what is happening now. In the 15 commitments, the very first commitment, which really has a lot to do with mindfulness, is taking 100% responsibility for your life. Again, as I just said, this is the most important thing that we can be doing right now, is taking 100% responsibility for our inner space. You might let those words wash over you. Do a little contemplation, Do I take 100% responsibility for my life? Look and see. This is a place of power. All spiritual paths, pretty much their foundational teaching is to first of all take responsibility for your life. This was true for me when I came to Buddhism many years ago, and this was emphasized immediately. You alone are creating your life through your actions, words, and thoughts. This is called karma, right? Which has everything to do with responsibility. What you sow is what you reap. All of you right now, whatever's going on in your life, you would put it there. Whether you buy it or not, it doesn't matter. If you don't buy it, we move into the position of victimhood. It's about what they did to me and the circumstances of my life. And those people that said that, and my parents, they're to blame for my problems. This is exactly the opposite of taking 100% responsibility. Karma is a very deep subject. I gave a Dharma talk here over a year or so ago. And I'm not going to go into the depth of that today, but it really does have to do with taking responsibility. Once we know that we are responsible for our experience right now, we begin to pay attention to what we're doing in the world, how we're bringing ourselves to the world. Because if we want peace, it's in our hands. If we want a life that works and that flows and is at ease, taking responsibility is a must. So this teaching came to me Many, many years ago through Buddhism. I have to tell you, at the time, I wasn't very good about taking responsibility. My life was filled with drama. I look back now, I'm so happy I got through all that time. But the drama and the suffering of drama pushed me to the spiritual path. I wanted relief. Maybe some of you know what I mean. Oh, sweet relief. What a breath, right? It pushes us to wake up. And that was my story many years ago. The opposite of taking responsibility, I found, is that my life was filled with lots of drama, lots of stuff, right? And I was always blaming others for all the mishaps that were going on in my life. And boy, were there tons of mishaps. From my car breaking down all the time, my failed relationships, and I could go on and on and on. You know what I mean? You fill in the blanks for your own life. And then, I started to get a clue. I would notice how every time a challenge would come, I would tend to blame somebody. And I knew it wasn't right. Ever been pulled over by a police officer? You know you were going 90? I remember one time I got pulled over. This was in my younger days. I must have been going at least 90. And there were a couple of people in the car with me. The officer comes up, I kid you not, he said, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" I looked up at him and I said, "Officer, was I going too slow?" And he shook his head and he goes, "You were going 90 or whatever it was, right?" Not taking risk. Can you imagine how refreshing it is for a police officer when they come up and you go, "I know, I blew right through that red light." They might even let you go. So even before I came into Buddhism, back in the heady days of the 1970s, some of you were from that era, huh? Do you all remember the 70s was really ripe and rich with kind of the self-transformation movements that were going on there. They really weren't spiritual, but they came out of those pioneers like Ram Dass and Lama Surya Das and others that went to India and brought back the wisdom of the yogis and the Buddhists for, really the first time. Although Jack Kerouac and the Beatniks were really in tune with early Buddhism back in the 50s. But it really started to take hold in the 70s. Some of you remember that. And an outcropping of all that, besides meditation and yogic path and all that, was this beautiful movement that lasted for a while where people were transforming their lives. That's the best way I can say it. That was the cornerstone of this, was to have a transformation in your life so you could be empowered to live your highest life. They weren't spiritual on the surface, but there was a lot of spirit there. For instance, and I'm not going to go, I could do a whole Dharma talk on this. Some of you remember the S training, and you remember Werner Erhard, right? He was a pioneer. Okay, a lot of things were said about Werner that turned out not to be true. They've all been proven not true. He's in the academic world now doing fine. But one of the cornerstones of his teaching came from Zen, right? He had spent a lot of time with Alan Watts. So he was all about giving people the opportunity in 2 weekends to have a satori, to wake up. That's pretty good, I'd say. And he was really vilified for that. Like, how dare you? It takes 40 years on the mountaintop to have a satori. Werner said, no, you can have it like this. That's right from Zen, right? So, and there was life spring and transactional analysis. There was all this stuff going on. So the first time that I came in contact as a very young man with this teaching of 100% responsibility came through a teaching that I was introduced to back in the 70s. Some of you might have heard this, and it's really, really powerful. And if you want to, you can do this as a meditation. I did this week because I had forgotten all about this teaching. But in kind of looking at what I was going to speak about today, this remembrance came to me. It's also on YouTube, which was pretty amazing to find that. It was really amazing. So if you want, you can close your eyes, and we're going to do kind of a process. And we're going to get into how this feels as I describe it to you. And I want you to notice how transforming this is in terms of taking responsibility for your experience, you and no one else. So imagine you have a car, and you've been driving this car for a while. This might be your first car or not. any kind of car. But you know, you keep getting into an accident every other week in this car. And every other week, you take it to this shop. The master mechanic watches you coming in. Oh, you're here again. Yeah, what happened? I don't know. Big old dent in the fender, sides are banged in. So they fix it. And this goes on and on. Your car spends more time in the shop than it does you driving it. So finally, one day, you get into a real bang up. Goes into the mechanic, master mechanic and his crew, they fix it. And when you come to pick it up, he says to you, you know, I have checked your car out. There is nothing structurally wrong with it. We cannot figure out why you keep getting into accidents. Oh. He said, would you mind getting in and kind of showing me what you do? He gets into the passenger seat. You get ready to go. You put it in drive. And you reach up and you grab on to the rear view mirror to steer the car. Please go with me here. Feel this. You're grabbing on to the rear view mirror and you start to take off. And he says, whoa, 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 whoo, things are kind of clear to me now. He goes, how long you been driving this way? She said, forever. He says, without shaming you, without making you wrong, without belittling you, he just says this, okay, look, I think I got this figured out. What I'd like you to do, I would like you to take your hands from the rear view mirror that you're looking into, and there's this little space here, about a foot, and I want you to bring it down and I want you to put it on this thing right in front of you called the steering wheel. And then we're going to take off and I want you to see how that feels. Okay, are you with me? Oh, you put your hands on the wheel. You hit the gas. Can you imagine? Oh my God, I've got control of this car. Wow, I can make a right turn without banging into a pole. Look at the power in this steering wheel. I can see the red light, I can slow down. And you know what? I can speed up without veering into people. This is absolutely groundbreaking. My life is transformed. I cannot believe all those years. No wonder I was getting into all those accidents. Now, you have your hands on the wheel. This is a metaphor for your life. This movement from living in the rearview mirror and trying to steer with it and living in the past to the steering wheel, that's called responsibility. When we take responsibility fully for our life, we take responsibility for putting our hands on the wheel and driving our vehicle. If then you get into a crash, you take responsibility for that. And you notice that as you drive and you've got the wheel, if somebody comes out in front of you, you can veer around them. Somebody cuts you off on the freeway, you can slow down, right? You don't have to get upset. You don't have to get angry. And you feel for the first time this sense of power in your life from taking hold of what has been in front of you your whole life. The steering wheel. Do you feel that? You'd be surprised how often we drive from the rearview mirror, looking into the past, trying to handle what's now by things we did in the past that don't work anymore. There's our blame. Oh, if only my parents hadn't done that. If only my spouse had understood me a little more. Constantly looking up, here we are. When we put our hands on the wheel, we can actually see what is in front of us to be seen through our windshield, and we can act upon it. Talk about power, empowerment. That's responsibility. Once you know that you cannot drive your car with the rearview mirror, but you put it on the wheel, it's all in your hands now. It's all up to you. There's no more blame. There's no more victimhood, because that's the opposite of taking responsibility, isn't it? We walk around in our life like a victim. It's not me. They did it to me. You all know people like this. I do. It's all about someone else. And it's about the outer world, and it's about what happened at work and those people and what they said to me. And if only they would arrange this so that I could be comfortable. Good luck. Right? You all know that. Just take hold of the wheel. And by the way, this doesn't mean this 100% responsibility, and you all know this. If you're old enough, and all of you are, you know that you do not have control over what shows up in the field of your experience. When you woke up this morning, you did not have control over the cloudy weather. Did you notice? Now, if you think you do, you're going to be disappointed a lot. Isn't it true? Like, oh my God, how dare God make it overcast today? I wanted sunshine. It's been 105 for 2 weeks, and now we get a day like this, but I want the sun as well. This feels pretty good, doesn't it? Right. We don't have the control we wish we did. I'll do a whole Dharma talk on control, and I've talked about this before, because until we accept responsibility for the fact that we do not have control over the vast majority of what shows up, we will spend our whole lives trying to manipulate and control others in life to give us what we think we need to be happy. Isn't it true? It's a waste of your energy. You may manipulate somebody. I see people laughing back here, but it's true. You may manipulate somebody to be the way you think they should. You know, if you just put the toilet down, or you just did what this or whatever. We may be able to get somebody to do what we want for a day or week, and then they start to resent us, and then they go back to doing whatever they want to anyway. Just let go. Let people be. Let life be. It's going to anyway. So the first step to sanity is understanding that you do not have control over your life. You do not. God does. The flow of the Tao is going to go the way it goes. Have you noticed? The weather will be what it is. Maybe you'll be at your job next year, maybe you won't. When we make friends with this truth, we're really able to take responsibility, because here is what we do have responsibility for. And notice that word responsibility has the word response. We move from reaction, where we're constantly like a pinball bouncing into things, reacting angrily and with impatience and, oh my God, how dare life do this to me? Those are reactions. We've all been there, right? Suddenly somebody says something to you and you react in a way that's unskillful, and you say something that is still a problem 5 years later because you weren't mindful enough to hold your tongue. There's a skill in being quiet, as you all heard and felt when we meditated today. If it comes to speaking or being quiet and you don't know what to do, in Taoism, always go for being quiet, at least at first. Let things come into view and then act. That's called responding. Notice that response is in the word responsibility. I love this. So what we do have control over is how we respond to life. That thing that comes that challenges you, there's nothing you can do about it, but you can give yourself to it in a way that you respond with peace. You respond with curiosity. You respond with love. You respond by coming to it with patience, and then watch how that dissolves. So often when we respond out of mindfulness, out of responsibility, that which is challenging us has a way of lifting us and nurturing us, and then what happens to it? It goes. We don't have to hold on to the rear view mirror and keep it in view all the time. Isn't this what we want? Experience to flow through us, where we're not holding on to things unnecessarily. All of you know people like this. They're holding on to experiences that happened 10 years ago, and it's still a weight on their shoulders. Life flows like a river. Let it come through you, and then it goes. The way that we can do this is by responding mindfully to whatever happens. Everything that comes to us is our karma, in that it has something to teach us. I could go into the whole, Buddhists believe that not only that, but you put it there. At some point in your past, you did something, It's boomeranged around now, and here it is in living color. Wow. Unfortunately, when we throw the boomerang, we lose sight of it at some point. Years go by, we forgot that mistake or how we treated somebody or what we did there that causes that boomerang to come around, and when we least expect it, it knocks us out. We would never think that we did that. We don't want to own that. And it's not necessary that you do. But one thing that I know that we can all get a hold of today is being responsible for our response. If you do this one thing, William Blake said, enlightenment, the first step to enlightenment is responsibility. There's no other possibility. Then every step you take, every act that you perform, every meeting you have, you realize that what you're saying and thinking and feeling is impacting that person or thing and creating your future. If you want to know what your future is going to be like, just have a look at how you're acting now. If you like the way you're acting, if you're taking responsibility for your inner space, because I've noticed that's all I can do, I can cultivate peace here. I cannot cultivate peace in the world. But if I'm taking responsibility for this, whatever happens, I notice that more of that shows up. If I'm peaceful, if I'm loving, if I'm kind, what comes to you? More peace, more love, more kindness. And if it doesn't, you don't hang your head and go, I've tried that whole responsibility thing, forget it. I'm just going to start blowing up at people again. How dare you, No, you stay with it. And your life smooths out. Doesn't mean you won't be challenged. But at the moment of challenge, take this question with you today. When anything comes to challenge you, and you want to blame somebody else, or you want to get into a drama with somebody, ask yourself this question: what is my part in this? Do you feel that? What is my part in this thing here? Because you're a part of it, or else you wouldn't be dancing there. What is my part in everything that happens to me? And how can I influence this? By being receptive and responsible, and then watching the way that I speak and what I do. You have a grievance with somebody? Don't go to somebody else and gossip about that person. I'll be speaking about gossip next month. My favorite subject. Next to responsibility, gossip. That's one of the 12 commitments. You're getting a sense of how powerful these spirit groups are going to be. Commitment 5 is eliminating gossip. But you know how it is. We have a grievance. Instead of going directly to the person and saying, you know what, I'd like to sit down with you. I have something to share with you. No, we go and we call somebody else and we write an email, and suddenly that person's being dragged through the mud. Right? We've all been there. We've all been a part of that, and we've all had that happen to us. We know how bad that feels. Right? Taking responsibility means that from this point on, and you can try this when you leave, you take responsibility for your inner space. If you're upset, if you're lacking peace and joy, harmony, look at the cause within yourself. If you keep looking outside at that, you will never take hold of the driver's wheel. That inability to take hold is grabbing onto the rearview mirror. It's being a victim. And none of us here are victims. It's clear to me. Each of us has cultivated the life that we have through our own actions, words, and thoughts. And the first step to change that is to take responsibility for your life. Take hold of the steering wheel, right? Find how easy it is to steer the car of your life. Let's close our eyes as we come to the end here of this part. As we take a few moments, a few refreshing breaths, read these words from the Dalai Lama. When you think everything is someone else's fault, you will suffer a lot. When you take responsibility and realize that everything springs only from yourself, you will learn both joy and peace. Feel that. You were responsible for getting yourself here this morning to hear these words, to be with the community. Now take responsibility for taking them with you. And using this teaching to empower yourself to have a happy life, a joyful life. Letting go of victimhood, blame. Breathing in and letting go. What's my part in this? What's my role in this? Take that question with you.
Thank you, Craig. Words of wisdom for sure. And speaking of those movements in the 70s, I had one of those weekend experiences, and I have to say it was transformational. And one of the main things that I remember coming out of it with is a kind of life guiding principle of it's not what happens, it's how I choose to deal with it. And now is the time to welcome everybody and our first-time guests. But first I want to say another quick shout out about our community prayer experience that we had yesterday that the prayer chaplains facilitated. Thank you all who participated. It was really just a beautiful, beautiful experience that we hope to present and offer to everyone again in the future. And also we had an amazing, beautiful World Day of Prayer experience on Thursday. So, welcome everybody, especially our new guests online and here today. We're so grateful that you joined us. Here at Unity of Tustin, we believe in many paths, one God. And our mission is to transform lives and inspire people to make a positive difference in the world. We are a fully inclusive community of all walks of life and would like you to know wherever you are on your spiritual path and in your background, we are glad you're here to continue that journey of transformation, evolution, and discovery with us. Our ushers are coming forward with flowers, beautiful flowers, and a welcome card for those of you who are here for a first or second time. And if you're comfortable doing so, we invite you to raise your hand so we can recognize you and present you with these gifts. Anyone here for the first time? Welcome. Welcome.
Not really the first time. I used to come here a lot in the late 90s and had a chance to sing up there.
Oh, wonderful. Well, welcome back.
I love it, but I really like walking through the 70s and all the different
Yeah. All right, 70s.
That's when I started, and I found unity while living in Michigan,
Wonderful.
and it's in here.
It is. Once you've experienced unity at any point in your past, It's always just coming back home, right? Oh.
I direct and sing at First Presbyterian Church of Santa Ana, but we had to cancel today because there's a whole parade and all of the music.
Oh.
Downtown, we couldn't get to church. I said, I'm going to go to Unity.
Yay.
Welcome back.
So we invite you and everyone to join us after the service for food and fellowship around the hospitality table. And as always, we have our Reiki practitioners with their green ribbons and our prayer chaplains with white ribbons who will be at the entrance to the meditation gardens, ready to offer prayer and healing support. All prayers are confidential, and we love to pray with you. In addition, there are prayer request forms in the seat backs in front of you and at that table at the entrance to the gardens. And all prayers are lovingly held by our silent prayer team ministry. There's always so much happening here at our campus of consciousness. Please make sure to check your email each Friday for the e-blast weekly e-newsletter, and of course visit the welcome table for more handouts and sign-ups about all the classes, events, and opportunities to serve here.
And the spirit groups.
And the spirit group sign-ups have their very own table out there today. And before we receive the love offering, just a quick special announcement, update regarding our reimagined bookstore. AJ, could you please come join me real quick? AJ Lipska. Thanks. AJ and I have been the acting co-champions for the bookstore and its transition over these past 6 months. And if you...
Oh, thank you. Okay. So, we'd like to thank the 70 plus that have chimed in for the online vote. And we are now happy to announce that the name of our new space is the Open Door. And we are so excited. Thank you all for all of your suggestions and even more for your support in this process that we could not have gotten to where we are without your holding the love and the desire to see the unfolding of something next and something beautiful. So thank you all for your participation in that. And we will officially open in 2 weeks on Sunday, September 25th. And that will be our grand opening. And with our mission to be an inviting, inspirational space for everyone to connect with the unity of Tustin and across various materials of spiritual and personal exploration that we hope to continue with what was once our bookstore, but to engage with even more information that can be a resource to all the things that are happening that are fantastic here at Unity at Tustin. And so thank you all, and I hope to be able to see all of you there. Thank you.
Yay. And more information will be forthcoming in the October edition of our Unity of Tustin community newsletter that will be coming out in 2 weeks, yes, coinciding with the opening of the Open Door. And now is the time for our love offering as we share our financial gifts in support of our ministry. The various electronic ways to give are here on the screen and in the seat backs in front of you. In whatever form you choose to give, we invite you to briefly hold your hand over the offering bags as they are passed to receive the in-person donations today, and just connect with that spirit of giving. We are grateful for your faith and generosity.
So as we pass those around, go ahead. And or as I say a few words, as I always say, every time that I come here on Sunday or I'm here on Wednesday to lead the meditation, and I've shared this with the people that, for everybody from Tony to the camera people, the ushers, the board members, all of this takes resources to keep this going. And every time that I come here, I am amazed at how everything flows so smoothly. The lights are on, there's water, we have a microphone. All that you see here that gives you that sense of ease and flow comes about through what you give so that the church can continue. So just know that when you give, you're giving to really good work. And as it says in the Bible, every one you give, 10 comes back to you, right? So thank you all.
Absolutely fabulous. Thank you, Michael, for that rousing, bringing us to the close of our service, as well as just all the beautiful music today that you shared. Just lovely. Thank you.
Hi.
And thank you again, Craig. And now is the time to stand for our prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And go forth and live it.
So heavy in meditation, I couldn't hear my fingers. I realized I hadn't played for about 45 minutes.